Hi, everyone. Just checking in. It's Monday. We got the first essay done. Everybody did great. Well, not every single person, but most people were really good. I do want to make one point about analysis paragraphs and using of quotations. So I'm going to share the screen and show you an example of how it's very typical that people can get tripped up if they don't read really carefully what they've written. Okay, so if you look at this one, you've got to check the logic of your quotations. So remember, it's memorable language, not just ordinary descriptions of things. And another pitfall is you choose a quote that makes several different points. And really, in this kind of writing, you want to do one thing at a time and keep it focused and coherent. So the third tip, which really must be adhered to, is does the content of the quote that you chose match the analysis that comes after? So that's a big deal. So one student wrote, and this is a quote that a lot of people used, that Adichie says the problem with stereotypes is not that they're untrue, but that they're incomplete. Okay, so whatever example you use next has to show that stereotypes are not untrue, which is a little bit of a delicate dance. You don't want to offend. Anyway, so the example in this one student's paper was that she was a cheerleader and she was blonde and pretty and she was stereotyped as a mean girl. And then she went on to describe how she was later, she got to know everyone and they loved her and they found out she was really nice, and that's the end of the story. The problem with that is that it doesn't show that the stereotype is somewhat true. For instance, I'm using the example, someone's Italian and they like pasta. That's true enough. It could be true, but it doesn't paint a very vivid picture of an entire individual. Okay, so remember, short quotes, they're integrated into your sentences, memorable language, and make sure you only use that part of it that you're willing to describe. Okay, so that's that. Also, we're going to have a tutor next week. I'm going to give you her contact information as soon as possible, and you can do back and forth with Google Docs with her, as you can do with me somewhat. So you can do that. You can start work on SA2. You remember you have access to all of those things all the time. So you can already be looking over how you might want to construct it. Okay, so the other thing, we'll just look briefly, this week's assignments, you have to read three things. You're doing two separate assignments, and you're going to read The Perks of Being a Weirdo and In Groups We Shrink. Now start to be thinking how SA2, you're going to be asked to integrate a point from one into an analysis of the other. So just be thinking about, what they have in common or what sort of insights they might intersect. Okay, so you've got study questions, and remember there's two sets of study questions, and also in the discussion assignment, it's brainology. So you're going to be reading Carol Dweck's work, and what you're going to need to do is do the discussion, which is a little more loosey-goosey. You can, say what you want to say about your own experience as a learner in school and the way in which her theories apply to you or things that you've experienced or observed. And then make sure you reply to a classmate. I think I replied to a couple of people on the link there. So all right, so this week we're reading and writing, but we're preparing to do SA2, and I advise everybody to just take a peek at what it looks like. The other thing is, just as a precursor, essay number 2 is not a compare and contrast type essay, which you may be familiar with from previous English classes. This is simply you're asked to use pick one as your main source of the readings from class, and then one is going to be the secondary source where you're going to pull in one point that reflects on one of your analysis points about the other text. Hope that didn't sound confusing, but you can always ask questions. And as soon as I get the tutoring information, I will send it to you in an announcement, and I will also put it on the class notes so you can contact Holly. Is going to be the tutor's name. No, it's not going to be her name. It is her name. And it has been her name for a long time. Okay. All right. So that's it for this week. You just got to have some reading, writing, and anticipating how you're going to get this second essay put together. Okay. That's it. I hope everybody is good. And as usual, email me on Canvas if you have questions or concerns, and have a good week.